Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. We're starting a fresh segment on the show. It's called the Expat Eye. We'll be getting CEOs of multinational companies who've been posted in India to share with us their experiences and insights on Indian consumers. We're starting this Diwali with Boris Bendix, the CEO of Nivea India. He spent 5 years in the country and says that he's lost his heart here.
At the head office of Nivea India in Mumbai, the 100-strong team is getting ready for its annual Diwali get-together. The Indian operations of the 3.7 billion euro personal care and cosmetics major Nivea was launched in 2006. At the helm of affairs is CEO Boris Bendix. Originally from Hamburg, Germany, he moved to Mumbai from Biasdorf, Bulgaria in 2005 to set up the Nivea India affiliate. Today, as he joins his team to celebrate his 5th Diwali, he looks back on his first experience.
It's all about the colors, it's about the crackers, it's about meeting people, and I really enjoy it because it's full of life ultimately. It's a bit like, of course, what we would have when we celebrate our New Year in Europe. Well, first Diwali, I mean, we were pretty fresh here actually. It was just about a year that we had been here. But there was already a bunch of Indian friends who, of course, invited us to their places and said, come on, you have to experience this. So we had nice parties, little pujas, so we joined all that. And it was a really, really good entry into the Indian culture.
This is a season which for many businesses not only auspicious, but also a time when business and revenues peak quite a bit.
Correct.
Is that the experience in the FMCG sector, in the personal care sector as well? Or does this trend bear out in this sector?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Diwali is, of course, also a time in the year when you would give presents to each other. And cosmetics obviously do qualify very well for giving such a present. So in that sense, yes, it is a peak season for the cosmetic industry, no doubt about it. Most companies, including Nivea, of course, would have special packs, special offers running. There's also a lot of institutional sales which are going on where companies, of course, would give something to their employees. So yes, it's also business-wise, it's a very exciting and auspicious season.
All right. When you set up in 2005, what were the few unique challenges that a market like India threw up?
We were in a very nice position because the Nivea brand is and was very, very well known. Also very positive emotions that it evokes. However, the challenges are that India as a country has is, of course, first of all, the distribution. I think there are a few countries which have so many outlets where you might want to sell your brand, no matter what it is. So reaching these outlets is, of course, a major challenge which every business faces. Another one is, of course, also the very discerning Indian consumer. So Indian consumers, in fact, are very well served today as we sit here because you find a very, very good quality at a very low price. You find very small pack sizes, which is different from many other markets around us, where you would be sort of forced to buy a bigger pack size and then you find maybe out, oh, is it the right product for me, yes or no? At the same time, and that's a big evolution that I saw over the last 5 years, it's the ambition of the Indian consumers. I talked about the discerning consumer already. Very critical, positively critical, also knowing a lot before doing a purchase. So, it's definitely not a market where you can cheat consumers or where you get away with promising a benefit which you can't live up to. You will have an immediate reaction to that in many, many ways.
It was in April that Nivea sort of officially moved from being a mass premium brand to a premium brand.
Right.
What did you learn about the Indian consumer that made you feel like the time was right to do this?
Yeah. So we didn't really move out of the mass premium segment. We stay with our bread and butter business in the mass premium, but getting into the premium business with specific selective counters, which we consciously keep really very selective, and with a special portfolio of anti-aging products which you don't find anywhere else. So we are not selling these in the normal stores around the corner and not even in many supermarkets. We thought the time was right because of, first of all, the growing affluence, which is clearly visible, very easily visible. And the other one also is that, you have a lot of Indians who are very well traveled. So there is a high demand for these products. And they don't want to just pick up their products when they're traveling abroad and the duty-free outlets. We got from our research very clear indication that people are willing and ready to pick up these products in India, and also, of course, to invest quite a good money into buying these products. And I can now say, as I sit here after about 6 months in the market, that these counters of Nivea anti-aging products are working extremely well.
What makes the Indian consumer and the Indian market unlike any other market that Nivea and Nivea buys it off is in?
Right. So there are certain specialities, which is, first of all, as we talked about, the diversity of the market. North, east, southwest, all are different, have different demands, different distribution systems, different channels, even how you can cater in a market. For example, in south, you have a much more prominent modern trade environment, modern retail, which is, of course, strongly in the making also in other parts of the country, but south is still the front runner. From the legal sides also, even you have some strong barriers. If you are importing products, it gets very costly. So you have a pressure of finding good supply chain solutions also for localizing ultimately your supply chain, your manufacturing particularly. And this makes India not unlike any other country, but it makes it one of a kind, yes.
Kai belongs to the growing community of expats who spend 3 to 5 years on an average working in the Indian market. On a personal level, they each have to find their own way to deal with the change in environment, which for some can be quite a culture shock. For Kai Bendix, who took a little help from the Mahabharata and Amartya Sen to cope with the transition, it is the Indian way of doing business that took more time to adjust to. You interact with many other foreign CEOs working in the Indian market. What is the one common challenge that all these friends of yours face when it comes to working in the Indian market?
I would see two challenges, and the first one would probably be more on the business side, and that is really catching up with the dynamics and adapting to what India really requires. Because most of them would, of course, have a certain portfolio of, say, products or services ready-made available from their international business model, and they simply might not work in the Indian environment. We talked about pack sizes, for example. Yeah? If you just want to run your business on 500 ml or 1 liter bottles of body lotion here, this will simply not work. You will be a very nice niche player probably, but that's about it. The other one, of course, the other side is more on the cultural end. And of course, India has a very distinctive, very old traditional culture, no doubt about it. And what many people would talk about, and I would be part of that also, is to inculcate something which we call the planning mindset, yeah? Which is to think not just about tomorrow, but even 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line. It's not saying that of course Indian people, Indian colleagues cannot do that. Yes, they do that. But I would just cite, in Hindi, for example, yeah, there is Kal Aaj Kal. So there's only one word for yesterday and for tomorrow. And that shows also that today is always very significant. It's about today only. And getting up a planning mindset is a little tougher than in some other countries.
How different is the work culture in India? What stands out about the work culture in India, good, bad or ugly, versus anywhere else you've worked?
Right. I think what makes India very distinctive is the power distance. So you have a strong sense of hierarchy. Yeah? The boss is sometimes even more than a boss. The boss also often is depicted or expected to be omniscient, yeah? Which of course he's never. Yeah? But tackling this and bringing the distance down, making people comfortable to speak up, to share their views, to put the things, as I like to say, to put the things on the table, because whatever hits the table can be discussed. I found this for many people, for many Indian colleagues, very hard at the beginning. So it takes a certain trust. You need to build up this trust. Trust doesn't come overnight. And in that sense, many of the colleagues who joined us in the early days said like, no, is this guy sincere? Does he really want me to put this on the table? Will he abuse it? And after a while finding out, no, this is real, and this is just, for having a better informed discussion and decision in the end. Once you have this up and running, then you're getting into a very, very nice and good streak.
Final question, Kai. What would you say is the one big learning from the Indian market in the past 5 years?
Right. For me, the biggest learning probably is to stay open in your mind, to stay very flexible, to accept that there is more than one answer. From my cultural background as Europeans, we always want to understand why is this working. Let's understand this, and then let's take a fast decision and move on. And in India, I learned that the question why does not necessarily have an answer, and does not necessarily have one answer, and often it doesn't even require an answer because there are many ways, and many ways how to get ultimately to the target, and it often happens in the last moment. And this patience, this patience of saying, fine, aramse, let's see where we are going from here, let's see what way can work. That's what I learned here. Yeah.
All right, Kai, Bendix, thank you so much for spending Diwali with Storyboard.
Thank you so much. Happy
and
Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Dhanyawad.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard. From the entire team that puts together Storyboard, we wish you a very happy Diwali again. I'll see you same time next week.